All right, so another episode down. We are at this is 12, so we're already 12 in, which is crazy. This one to me had the biggest plot hole yet so far, and we'll talk about that at the end of the episode because that's when the biggest plot hole happens. Because it feels like there should have been time that passed, but there wasn't any. But starting out, so this episode is basically about a up-and-coming idol girl that wants to be number one in Japan or the world. I don't know if the translations are right. I guess you can never be 100% certain if they're right. I'm gonna say Japan. If it's number one idol in the world, then it's number one idol in the world. But we see her as a kid getting pushed in the swing by her grandpa, saying, that's what I want to do. This is as my grandpa, do you appreciate that? Do you think it's a good thing? He's like, yeah, I support it. And then we basically cut to Don Yellow questioning Kaito, saying, why can you transform? What is going on? What is all this? Blah, blah, blah. And Kaito just shoots her down right away and says, okay, hey, this is your new coworker, by the way? And it's obviously, it's that girl that was the idol. And she instantly is talking to this group of guys that are having tea or coffee or whatever, sitting down, basically having a drink, having some food there in the restaurant, and she says, "I'm an up and coming idol," and so they instantly attach to her and say, "We're gonna become your number one fans right now," and so we see Don Yellow, which. If you go by, obviously it was probably paper, cardboard, or whatever, but if you go by the logic of the actual show, she bent metal, just bent her tray just easily like that by getting mad. And then she has this whole, I guess she changes outfits into this idol type of outfit, and she's up on this table singing for them, and all these guys are in their these like red clothing kind of supporting her on, and she's like singing. I don't know how she set up everything just instantly apparently. So then we get a cutaway, well, I guess not really cutaway, but we go to another section of basically the main plot here, and that is Don Red Momotaro basically gets suspended from his job for telling the truth because one of his coworkers, I think they were like lollipops or something. I don't know. They just had a brief little thing on it. Some sort of candy food. It was watermelon flavored. And basically the boss comes in and says, hey, who took these? And he flat out says, it's that guy right there. So then somehow or another he gets fired for that. And everyone else kind of has to leave the shop too because the guy has to clean it. The boss told him you have to spend a whole week. Apparently he can't leave the shop either. I don't know if that's the 100% of the translations being 1-to-1. But apparently they said he can't leave the shop and he has to stay there for a whole week to basically clean it. While everyone else is basically suspended for the week. I don't get that. That's kind of bad business. But basically, Don Rad's got to go find a new job. So he goes to the cafe. Basically, in a matter of minutes, just gets in there, and Kaito's like, yeah, here's your other new coworker. Okay, I guess you can just walk in and say, I want a job, and you can get a job in 2022 just like that, apparently. So then they're serving people in the cafe and whatnot, and Don Red basically, gets asked some questions. Is like, he's being truthful, and they had this little gag where they tell him like, hey, you have the DonBrothers coming. I guess I should have mentioned that. Everyone except for Black. They were supposed to be Black there, but then he got spotted by the cops, jumps the fence. And Don Red's like, yeah, he just went over the fence. So then the rest of the DonBrothers are like, hey, just, say you're a woman. Pretend you're a woman and basically lie. A simple little lie like that. And he says, and then passes out and dies. He dies by because he can't lie. Maybe they'll expand upon that. I don't know. It felt like a gag. It's kind of out of nowhere. And he dies, and then he pops back up 2 seconds later, comes back to life. So, beating Jesus' respawn time. So then they have this thing where, all the fans of the, soon-to-be idol, are saying, it's a 100 out of 100, and so she asked, Don Red, she's like, hey, what do you think? He goes, 25, and just leaves, he doesn't leave, he goes back to his work, and then she basically kind of, leaves the shop. They don't explain this, but she screams, she's on the floor, she pretends that she got attacked, and then 2 seconds later, they bring her back into the shop. She goes back out and gets attacked by a real monster this time. I don't get that. It felt like they were going for, a Boy Who Cried Wolf. Obviously, they keep saying there's something there is not there. FC, if you know what Boy Who Cried Wolf is, But it felt like they were going for that type of vibe and setting something up, and then suddenly they just 2 seconds later just switch it and say, here's the real monster of the episode, and we just get the monster. All four of them, I guess all four know who each other are now. Again, there's this whole thing been going on for 11 episodes before this where, do you not know who these DonBrothers are? And they all transform right there. All right next to each other, they all transform. No one says a word. I guess it's just, depending on writer to writer for each episode, I guess, if they know each other and they don't. I don't know. But then Black obviously teleports in. They had that whole teleport thing, that they've been doing basically all series long. And right off the bat, he teleports in, and Don Red's like, okay, we're going all out. We're just going to take this guy down. Excuse me. And we're just going to go Robotaro forms from the start. And they get there, they transform, they beat up the monster. For some reason, the monster doesn't die, and he kind of just lays on the ground, and more of the minions pop up. So then they decide, okay, well, time to combine. So they get the whole combining thing, which again, it turns into a Megazord. They sit down. They literally sit down. He has his hands kind of together, and the minions are charging at him, and they just he just pulls out these swords, does this attack thing real quick, and they're all gone. And then I guess the monster got hit by that too. They didn't really focus on a monster this week, and it looks like they killed them, and then it looks like the attack that they did in their combined forms also killed. I don't know. It was weird. They didn't focus on the monster really at all this week. And basically, monster dies, then grows up into the mega monster form. We get the heroes they kind of grow too in their form, and I forgot to mention this too. When they do combined, and I actually like that they added this little detail. They have a line from Don Pink that he goes, "Oh, the pain of combining." And it's I don't really feel anything. So I like that, hey, you're combining, you're breaking a parts of you essentially. I guess Don Yellow and Don Black just kind of become the legs. But Don Blue and Don Pink, split apart and are parts of the upper body of, the rest of the Don Red armor. And I like that they kind of explain, hey, this doesn't hurt them or anything. So I know it's just a little tiny detail, but I like that they put that in there. So then we get this, I think it was about 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes of a Megazord fight scene, which, again, we have not seen a Megazord fight. Technically, this scale, we haven't had one in this series. But last time we saw Don Red's Megazord before, I want to say it was episode 7 or 8. So it's been a bit. I know it's been a bit since we've seen a Megazord battle. And they pull out all the stops for this. We get this little kind of like standoff clash thing, and Don Yellow, they were standoff clash with swords, and Don Yellow just goes, you know what, enough of this, and she just kicks the monster about 20 times in rapid session. Then they get raised up onto this platform, which goes up real high, and Don Black is afraid of heights. And so instantly, he says that, and basically Don Red's like, okay, we're going to jump off. So then they jump off this tall structure. Again, it was like a raised platform that went up really high. And they jump off, they start flying, and they essentially, they're throwing the fists, they're, throwing the swords at the monster, knock them off, do the finishing attack, kill it. And that's when we get this really weird thing with when obviously all the people come back, and the girl that wasn't an idol that was trying to be, suddenly she is an idol, and it's the same day. It's literally the same day that this takes place. They have on the screen, it says on demand May 22nd, 2022, which again is the date that this episode goes. Obviously it's 23rd here, but it aired on the 22nd in Japan. So it's just this weird thing where it's like she got signed, made a #1 hit in a matter of hours. And it just, I don't get it. It was really weird, because if they would have said, like, maybe a month or 2 months have passed, I would have been like, okay, you have time to do that. Might be a little weird to get, #1 in the world after only a month or two, but I can buy that more than same day. She gets #1 in the world. She's all over these, big TV screens that they always show. And I don't know. It's just, it was really strange. I didn't really like that. I thought that was kind of just a dumb kind of plot hole that they could have just said, again, if you would have done a month or two, because you can skip a month or two and then go back to, episode 13 is, shortly after 12. Because, shows have done that all the time, where you can say, down in the future, this happens. But no, it's same day. She's wasn't an idol in the morning. She's an idol by afternoon, and it's sunny all day long. So she literally became an idol before the sun went down in that day. So I don't know. Very strange, very weird. Next week's episode I am excited for. It's called Goodbye Toro. It is going to be the evil Blue Ranger facing off with Don Red. And it looks like there's a potential 3v1 with the evil white and evil, was it orange or brown or whatever, coming in and fighting them too. So I'm excited to see what happens. I hope they figure out, well, I'm sure the evil Blue Ranger already knows that, hey, like, he's Don Red. I'm sure he knows, but I hope they have Don Red figure out, like, hey, he's the evil Blue Ranger. He's the guy who I went to advice for. He goes to advice from in this episode. There's nothing really to cover here, because they basically just talk about how, little white lies, like how the moon is not actually, doesn't actually have a light source. It's just reflected from the sun, and that's why the moon has light. So just, that's basically all they talked about, was just a little lie. It was only about a minute of screen time that he really had. So yeah, I'm hoping they figure that out. They know each other as, different factions. Still waiting for the factions to come together too, and we're gonna have them versus the Bestials in the future. Which, speaking of the Bestials, I don't know if I don't know if I mixed something up last episode, because I mentioned last week that the police officer was a Bestial, and this episode they kind of come out and just say that finally. So I don't know if I just kind of put two and two together early before the show did. But they had this little scene where the evil Blue Ranger tries to, cut and slash at the Bestial, the captain, the officer. He says he hits him, and the Bestial jumps away, and he says, they're unkillable or whatever. But I don't know if I put two and two together early, or if I don't know if I just had this random theory in my head. But we know he's the Bestial officially now. Which again, that was part of the 2-minute scene in total. So yeah, I'm excited for next week. You know, this episode, it was okay. Not one of my favorites. I'd probably put it lower on the list of the 12 episodes so far. Yeah, it's just I didn't really connect with the idol girl. You know, she had this one scene where she's, you know, I'm doing it for my grandpa or whatever. I didn't really connect with that. I'm like, okay, you're just a, you know, a non-idol and you just became an idol randomly. I don't know. So for now, like the video, share the video around, don't subscribe. We'll be back next week, and they're gonna have Don Red die again. I bet he's gonna die again, come back, and they're gonna figure each other out or something like that. So I'm out of here. Peace.